Hello and welcome to Coffee on the Coast. I am your host today, Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studio. I love Wednesdays because this is our Coffee on the Coast time with the award-winning Manitowoc Public Library. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Tim Gadzinski. Here he is, Tim.
I'm here. Hello. How are you, Tina?
Good. You know, there used to be a commercial like when I was a kid, and it was, who is that behind those Foster grants? But I think it needs to be repurposed to who is it behind that N95 mask, right?
I know. I hate to be hidden, but I'm here at work today as opposed to home. So, wear a mask. It's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for taking care of your community and yourself and your coworkers. So we are here talking about the library and more specifically the knowledge and access to knowledge and resources available at the library, particularly with the Great Decisions series. Tim, say that fast 3 times.
Okay. Great decisions, great decisions, great decisions. Thank you, Masters of Fine Arts degree.
Toy boat.
You had said, when you were a kid, you remember the commercial. I remember when you were a kid. Doing vocal warm-ups like Toy Boat.
Funny, that's awesome. But that is another show. Because today we are going to talk about this awesome upcoming conversation on February 8th. And it's going to be the end of Globalization with Dr. Elise Cohen. And this is going to be virtual, right, Tim?
Correct. This year, back in, it was probably in summer, we started having the discussion already about, are we going to have to cancel the Great Decisions lecture series? Because normally it's in the Balkanski room every Monday night during February and March, and it's usually very crowded. It's one of the cornerstone programs of the library. It's just such a wonderful opportunity for people in the community to get together and hear about the intricacies of global situations and how they affect us at home. And we always have fantastic lecturers, and then the conversation is always great. But because of COVID, obviously we weren't going to be able to have, currently we're not even open to the public. It's just curbside service, which is great. But we obviously couldn't put 100+ people into the Balkanski room right now. So because of programs like Coffee on the Coast and everything you do with Coolest Coast, we decided, let's do it virtually in a format where people can still interact and type in their comments and questions. And the person giving the lecture can still, go ahead and interact with a live audience. So we decided to go forward with it. And it's virtual. It's on both the library's Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. So if you're not into Facebook, just go to YouTube, search Manitowoc Public Library. I go 5 minutes before 6 o'clock on Monday nights, and it'll pop up, and you'll be ready to go. And if you want to follow along and participate via Facebook, just head to Facebook.com/Manitowoc Library, and you'll be able to participate that way.
It's awesome. I'm also going to bring Darlene Wellner into our conversation here.
Darlene. Well, hello.
But Darlene is muted, so we can't hear anything that you're saying currently, Darlene.
Hello, can you hear me now?
We sure can. Welcome to Coffee on the Coast.
Well, thank you. This is always an achievement to be able to do this. My technology is 20th century, trust me.
Well, we're really glad to see you. So we are talking about the Great Decisions series. We're just talking about how the access to it being virtual. Tell us a little bit more, Darlene, from your perspective of why this series is so valuable and important and such a benefit to have in our community.
Okay, well, I think we got this here for the last 14 years. And I think it's just been a great thing for our community because so many people love coming to this and becoming informed about, our relationship to the rest of the world and how our country is functioning in terms of our policies and so on. And we've got a loyal attendance. I think our average is about 100 a week. And last year we had to give up because of the COVID, but and this year we're resorting to this. But but that's the way it is. A little bit about the history, if I can. It's the Great Decisions. We have this booklet that people can access for $15 at the library, and that's a good deal because you can read about it. You can read about the subject first, and then you hear the speaker, and it's just it all makes sense, And you go home with 100 ideas in your mind and whatnot. But this is put out by the Foreign Policy Association, which is a nonprofit organization that's existed, I think, for almost 100 years. 100 years. And it came about after World War I. And when the world was really searching for peace, and there was an understanding that we couldn't go back into another war. Well, we eventually did, but anyway, it was an attempt to get people seeing things from a broader perspective. And the experts from the Foreign Policy Association are always on television. They're noted in NPR and so on. So anyway, but it is designed to provide educational opportunities for people all over the country. Really, this is accessible. Great Decisions are held in various parts of the country, several areas in Wisconsin, and they bring information from noted speakers, and every year you learn a whole lot. And the idea is that is helpful then in making good public policy decisions, because the more enlightened and informed citizens are, the better the public policy, because they know they've seen a variety of topics from a variety of standpoints, and people then can judge where our country or where a community ought to be going to a great extent.
Right. The better informed that our citizenry is, the better informed that we as individuals are, the more successful our entire democracy can be.
Exactly. And that's right. And it's instructive because Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson at the beginning of the country both had the idea, and ours is the oldest democracy in the world, 250 years by far, had the belief that that every generation has a responsibility to keep democracy going. And we've been falling behind here big time, especially the last few years. And so it's just precarious that we become more informed. And John Meacham, a famous historian, also said he bemoaned the fact that we are so neglecting history, the teaching of history. And he really favored getting history and civics and global issues and so on back into the mainstream curriculum, like the STEM issues are now in the schools, because you can't have a democracy if you don't know your history and where things have been, the bad areas, and that's how you slide into an authoritarian government where dictatorships are very easily come by, because people just want to follow a ruler and don't want to bother with that messy stuff. Right. So
right. Another reason why knowledge and education is so important, and also even just the concept of like civil discourse and statesmanship, all of that is sort of part and parcel of these great decision concepts.
Yes, they are. They really are. You get a broad range of views, and then and we have a discussion, and some once in a while it's a little heated, but not out of bounds really. And Tim is so good at guiding this. Before he came along, then we had different people from the League of Women Voters and other people that would, be guiding the discussion, and everybody had a different approach, and it just, honestly, it just has been much better. He's, I, and the thing is, he's funny too.
Oh, well, thank you. Really, I love the discussions, and I honestly love it when they get a little bit heated, to
Yeah,
be honest.
it's true. It's
The
true.
only thing I insist upon when it's in person, and I would do the same thing online, is that you just be respectful. You
Exactly.
listen to what everyone has to say. You don't have to agree with it, but
Right.
but hear them out, because there may be more of a common ground than you imagine.
Yeah.
It might just be the wording of the ideology that's getting in the way, not the
Right.
actual
Right. Right.
conceptualization. So no, I love the discussions. The discussions are
Well, I do
some of my
too.
favorite things.
And I don't mind too much if people go on and on because they've got their views too. We don't want to just get the experts' views. We want to hear what the people think. But I have to once in a while things do go awry. But Kim is very good in pulling it back. So it's
So not only do you hear from a learned speaker, somebody is presenting about the topic, but then people that are in attendance have the chance to discuss and
oh
have
yes.
Like,
It's almost half and half. Well, not quite, but I mean it's probably an hour for the speaker, and then about 45 minutes for the discussion. Sometimes less.
yeah. Well, last week when we had Pablo Terrell from Beloit College on the show, his topic was Brexit and the European Union, and the conversation, because people are getting used to the concept of participating online. The discussion started a little bit slower than it would in the room, but it picked up, and there were a lot of great questions. And Pablo even said, that the questions were there wasn't a silly question that was asked at all. They were all on point, and they actually proved that people were following along.
Yeah.
So it's a format. It's not the same, but as an alternative, it's pretty darn good.
I have to say, as a community, we are so fortunate to have this series and to have access to it, especially online, so that you can reach more people. But so my degree is in international relations, and these topics in this type of format that you're discussing, this is like, college level experience that for free, available online, right here at our Manitowoc Public Library, people have the opportunity to participate in.
Well, and without fail, all of the speakers comment that the Manitowoc series and the Manitowoc audience is the best that they have. That is the best one in the state that they've spoken at, and I don't think they're just blowing sunshine, because the people really enjoy the topics. They enjoy the lectures. They enjoy the conversation. And they also enjoy the social aspect of it. That's the one thing we can't replicate. It'll be nice to get back to. But everyone says the attendance is better here than anywhere else in the state. That the conversations are more active than anywhere else in the state. And I believe them. And I love the Great Decision series. And when I was fortunate enough to be brought on board about 5 years ago, I couldn't believe that I had moved back to Manitowoc 8 years before that, and I had never heard of the Great Decision series. And I'm like, well, that will not do. That's going to change. And so I've done my best to try and get it out to as many people as possible, young and people who have been coming to the series all 14 years. I'm trying to get the high schools more involved. I just think it's so important. You're never too young to learn about the world we live in.
Exactly. One fellow, I just as a commentary here, one fellow after one of the great decisions early on, this is years ago, he came up to me and he said, Darlene, I thought he came from Michigan, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, walking, and he said, I never thought that there'd be more than say 10 people for something like this, and he said, I never knew there were that many intelligent people.
Well, we all learn new things.
Well, that's not a slap at the community. It's just fine.
I'm going to put up a graphic that shows some of the topics that the Great Decisions is going to touch on. I guess it's kind of small on the picture that shows all of the different shipping crates. You can see there's a list of the different topics that Great Decisions will address: global supply chains, Persian Gulf security, Brexit and the EU. You said that one was last week.
That's correct.
China and Africa, the two Koreas, role of the WHO, the World Health Organization, and then the end of globalization, which is your next upcoming one.
Yep, our next upcoming one is the end of globalization, and the person who's doing that lecture is Dr. Elise Cohen. She is she teaches locally. She lives in Sheboygan. She does UWGB and all of the UWGB satellite schools like UW Manitowoc and UW Sheboygan, and she's great. She is absolutely fantastic. And she first gave a lecture, Darlene, what was it, 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think maybe 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
We've had her ever since. She's able to talk on so many different subjects, really, and she seems like she's got great expertise in all of them. Yeah. She would be an interesting person to have as a professor.
Agreed. And that's one of the, I think you mentioned it, Darlene. It's or Tina, I can't remember, but one of you said that it's like getting a college level course just at the library, and it really is. And I have thought that about Professor Cohen since day one. I'm like, if you can get this, you don't have to travel far afield to necessarily get a good education, and she is living proof of that.
Right.
And if somebody misses, like if they missed last week, is that still online, Tim, on the Facebook library's Facebook page that they could review?
Yep, it definitely is. Immediately following the airing of a lecture, it gets archived within minutes. So it appears on Facebook and on YouTube. Facebook is actually very easy to find it. I started a playlist last week under our videos. So our first week has been up since Tuesday evening. And I'm sorry, Monday evening. I started the playlist immediately following. So if you do miss it, which you shouldn't, but if you do, just go to our YouTube and Facebook pages or channels, and you can watch it immediately. The entire thing is there. And even if you wanted to make a comment, even if you caught it late, feel free to comment. I review them. I would gladly pass them along to whoever did the lecture, and hopefully get a response for you. And if you would like the PowerPoint presentation after you see the lecture, just send me an email. My email is tgudzinski@manitowoc.org. And we always get permission from the lecturers to share their PowerPoint presentation. So if you want the slides, I can send that to you. And that was one nice thing about it being virtual this time is during the course of the lecture this time, several people requested the PowerPoint actually during, and I could send it off to them immediately when we had finished. So
that is awesome. So tell people again, the night that this is available, the night and time.
Well, it is every Monday in February and March. So the first one was last Monday, the 1st. The next one is on the 8th, every 7 days, following that. Every week in February, the first 4 weeks in March at 6 p.m., either on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Manitowoc Library, or go to YouTube and just search Manitowoc Public Library and it'll come up. But it's every Monday at 6 p.m.
That's awesome. And because you're doing it virtual, people can watch it from a desktop. They can watch it on the go on their mobile device. So you can really access it in real time, right after, anytime after. It's a great way to connect, to learn, and to have some great conversation.
Agreed. And, the thing is, I think what's nice about it is the weather can be a little dicey, especially in February. Now that's just out of the equation. There are no excuses, as our parents would like to say, for not attending the Great Decision Series. And I did want to mention that Darlene held up last year's companion publication that goes with the series. There was a slight snafu in getting the companion pieces this year because we sent our order off during the election cycle. And as a result, and it went through the mail. They don't take payments online or over the phone. As a result, the check got lost and we didn't get the books. We normally get them a couple of weeks beforehand. However, they should be arriving at the library this week. So my advice to you, if you want the companion publication, the phone number to call is 920-686-3010, and it will be treated exactly like curbside pickup. You request the book, you put in an envelope 15 unmarked bills. The book costs $15, or you can put a check or a money order for $15 in there. Call when you get to the parking lot. They'll bring your book out. They'll set the book down. You set the envelope down, and away you go with the book. So make sure to call. And it hopefully we'll be getting them later today or tomorrow and be able to offer them immediately. I'll throw something up on Facebook when we get them so that people are aware they're available.
Perfect.
Kim, did you before I came, I was a little late. You mentioned who the sponsors of this are?
I did not, but I can do that now if I'm allowed, Tina. May I?
Please do. Yeah, please do.
Okay. The sponsors for our series are the League of Women Voters of Manitowoc County, of which Darlene is a member, the Manitowoc Public Library Foundation, the Manitowoc Public Library, Lakeshore Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, and Lakeshore Pax Christi. And those are our sponsors for the series. And without them, it would be a much more difficult undertaking.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the library, it wouldn't exist. I mean, they are so extremely helpful. It's I can't say enough.
Well, we're so proud to be a part of it, and we're so happy to be a part of it. It's an amazing offering for a town the size of Manitowoc, and for example, like St. Norbert's also offers it, but they don't offer all 8 lectures. They offered a pared down version of it. And frequently that will happen.
Yes.
But because of the committee, and I really have to mention this too, the committee that puts this together, they find the lecturers, they find the experts that speak on this topic. Without them, we might not be able to do all 8 topics, but no one is satisfied with presenting just an abbreviated version of the series. It's a group of passionate people that I am just so very fortunate and proud to work with.
And at first it was quite a job getting those folks. The first year it was tough because we didn't know where to go. But every year it's gotten easier because we keep getting some of the really good people back, and like Elise Cohen and others, Beth Doherty, and many others. And it's gotten easier, and the people remember them, and they they want to go to that lecture, and it's a wonderful thing. I think it's just a great thing.
The funny thing is, I suggested when we got together, let's get university professors exclusively, because they'll be used to online presentations, and they won't even have a hesitation to appearing, and they'll be ready to go. And afterwards I talked to Professor Terrell, and he's like, this is my first one of these. He said it was warm and Beloit until November, and even though he teaches poli-sci classes, he just taught every class in person, outdoors, socially distanced.
Really?
And I was like, well, that just shot down my thought process completely. But he did a fantastic job. I mean, it's not like Pablo, he's fantastic. But and all the speakers we have are great, and they're all engaging in a different way. So I recommend that everybody, watch it with a friend, watch it with your kids, watch it with your pug if you have a pug. But any pet will do. Just watch it, because it's informative and it's factual. It's not opinion news. It's facts on the subject. And the presenters are great.
Yeah, and when you watch the news, you often will think about, oh, I remember he spoke and what he said about that or she. It brings things together.
Well, Tim and Darlene, thank you so much for joining us here on Coffee on the Coast to tell us all about this. I hope you hear this, Coolest Coast, everyone out there, all of our viewers, that there is this great opportunity for you to participate, to, join in the conversation, to edify yourself with this additional knowledge. Thank you to all of the sponsors that you mentioned for making this possible and bringing these big ideas to our community. As you said, Tim, we are so fortunate to have access to these kind of resources. Really, we're blessed to have the Manitowoc Public Library advocating for all of the citizenry to be informed. I'm just going to put this up one more time, because the next opportunity is February 8th. You're going to be talking about the end of globalization with Dr. Elise Cohen, and that's at 6 p.m. on the library's Facebook page and YouTube channel. This has been an awesome conversation. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Tina. You're fun.
Yes, and thank you so much for having us on and letting us speak at length on it. It was great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for keeping it cool on the Coolest Coast. We'll see you next time.